Charles. It just seems to me that whatever the Princess of Wales does, it just seems to be brilliant. Now, she was there challenging this narrative and challenging the notion of our truth.
Well, we've always seen Catherine, the Princess of Wales, as a compassionate person, a caring person, one who cares deeply for those who are not so well off. But here we have now a Catherine who wears a velvet glove, and that hides an iron fist. She was very upset, as many people and members of the royal family were upset, with the now infamous and largely discredited Oprah Winfrey interview. And the palace were about to put out what she and William considered to be a very mild statement. It didn't say anything, and she was very concerned that people would go away thinking that this so-called truth, in actual fact, were lies from Harry and Meghan, were going to be taken seriously by members of the public. So she was the one who made the point, look, we've got to respond somehow. So she didn't come out right out and suggest that they call the pair liars, but she came up with this phrase, recollections may vary, which the Queen used in her statement. And that just goes to show that I think you've got the monarchy in very, very safe hands. You've also got to remember that Catherine is protecting her future as well. She's going to be queen one day, and what she doesn't want is a monarchy that is wrongly criticised by the likes of Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, and Charles, another story out this week was the royal accounts have been published, so the amount of money that we're spending, £107 million of public purse goes on the royal family. That has increased since last year, but do you think it still represents good value for money?
Well, yes, it does, because it's still £1.29 per person for this country, for the royal family. The sovereign grant is 86 million. There was an overspend, about 20 million. Now, that 20 million did not come out of a public purse. That came out of the monarch's rainy day fund, if you like, and that went back, to cover those extra costs. At the moment, the 86 million is about 54 million to cover the King's expenses and wage bill and everything else. The other 30 million is the 30 million, which is part of a 10-year, £30 million each year plan to refurbish the palace. So, at the moment, there is a lot of money being spent, and the King is facing the same sort of problems as you and I, the viewers and the listeners as well, with the cost of living crisis. All their costs have gone up. The wage bill's gone up. Everything's gone up. He's now turning down the thermostat on various rooms throughout the castles and areas, and he's even switching off the heating in the Buckingham Palace swimming pool. So I doubt very much if anybody's going to go for an early morning dip.
There's one other thing I'd like to pick up on. I don't know if you saw it this week, but King Charles stood alongside London Mayor Sadiq Khan to launch a climate clock in London. And this is like a kind of countdown to Armageddon. Charles, in a more broad term, I wanted to ask you, I think a lot of people were hoping that Charles would keep out of politics, standing alongside a London mayor candidate, talking about climate change. We know that was a great passion of his as the Prince of Wales, but climate change is taxation. It's the central tenet of it. Is Prince Charles getting too involved in politics so soon into his king reign?
Well, I would say not getting too involved in politics. Let's not forget he's been banging on about climate change for a long time. So this fits in with his mantra that he's been talking about for years. How many people are listening to it? I'm not too sure.
OK, well, I mean, he certainly does go on about it. I thought he'd passed the mantle on. Just to summarise, in terms of the public mood between the Sussexes and the Princess of Wales, who do you think is really winning the hearts and minds? I know the answer, but I just want to hear it from you, Charles.
Well, I'm the Princess of Wales and the royal family are winning. There's no question about that. You look at the latest poll that just came out a few days ago. Meghan is minus 47% popularity. That's just above Prince Andrew, who's still at minus 72. Harry's not that much better at minus 38%. So I think Harry and Meghan, with what they've been doing and everything else, they are certainly losing this whatever battle it is that they've got themselves involved in, I think they're certainly losing it.
Okay, and do you think, just briefly, is there any way back now for the Sussexes, or is it sayonara?
No, I think you're right. I think it is sayonara. I cannot believe there's any way back for them again. How can you welcome back Harry and Meghan, and Harry or Meghan, into the royal family with given what they have done and what they continue to do with their various programs and everything else? It's impractical. It's not going to happen.
Thank you, Charles Rae. It's always a pleasure and never a chore. Thanks for joining us today on GB News.